At the age of 10 years old, what does a child know about sexual abuse? Not much. There's just a baby. So I was having difficulty urinating. And I started complaining about pain down there. So my mother, Mrs. Edith Eugenia Miranda Barahona, was a legally blind woman. She took me to a doctor by the name of Dr. Infante, 11 Ralph Place, Staten Island, New York, 10304. I was 10 years old, cute as a button with pigtails. My mother was legally blind. I was examined. Dr. Infante had surgical gloves on. I laid on a medical table with a white Hispanic nurse in a room. As I was laying on that table, he put his whole hand, fist in my anal and my vagina while his nurse looked at that. My mother was legally blind. I don't know why I had to go through that at the age of 10 years old. I was only a child after being raped and incest and then examined inappropriately. When he took his fist out of my vagina and anal, he swapped it with a Q-tip and there was blood. Before he had examined me, he had told certain people that I had been raped and molested. I got off that table at the age of 10 years old, walked out the doctor's office and told my mother, I don't think you should have did that. I walked out of the building with my mom. A couple of years later, at the age of 16 years old, in front of 197 Gordon Street, there was an attempt of a drug person tried to drug me, a teenage girl, with a syringe with drugs in it. Across the street from 197 Gordon was a white man in a black vehicle and someone in the back of that vehicle. They were going to drug me, kidnap me, and rape me, and God only knows where I was going to be at. Who knows? I was only 16 years old. In that incident, the day before that incident, I was invited to a pool on Bay Street on Staten Island. The pool area was summertime. I had walked with what I thought were friends of mine, a group of young kids around my age, a little older. At that pool, I had showered up. You know how they shower up? I walked right out of that shower, and so my guard wasn't up. Whose guard is up when you have friends? As soon as I came out the showers and exit out that female bathroom, heading out to the pool deck, I felt an arm come around my waist from behind. And then I felt my right hand arm and my left arm wrist area was grabbed, and then my right ankle and my left ankle were grabbed, and they brought me up in the air and walked me towards the pool. As they lowered me down, they slammed me right on cement floor where I hit my head. I was basically unconscious, in and out, so to speak. In that mess, there was a hand that reached into while they were grabbing me. This hand had nails and grabbed my left breast, squeezed it, and as it started removing its grip from my left breast, he left his nail marks on my left breast. Then they had grabbed my bathing suit that was a light purplish color and brought it up, and my private area was exposed. They started laughing, making fun of me and jeering at me. I don't remember if they fondled me down there. I was in and out. I had hit my head on that cement floor. Then they grabbed me back up again, right wrist and right ankle and left ankle, and they brought me up in the air. Then they lowered me and threw me in the pool. I was unconscious. I almost drowned. As I started gasping for air, I came up for air and I came out the pool and I was disoriented. Normally me, I would have been fighting and grabbing people and trying to throw down, but I couldn't catch my bearings. That had caught me off guard. As I left that pool that day, I walked back from Bay Street Pool to Stapleton Houses, feeling embarrassed and ashamed. That day I went, when my mother was living at the time, Mrs. Edith Eugenia Barahona, 197 Gordon Street, apartment 5P. I didn't tell my mom anything. I went straight into the shower, the bathroom, and started scrubbing. That night I went to sleep crying. Felt ashamed, embarrassed, stupid. Had a bump on my head. The very next day, my mom had said, "Get up, you got to go to school." I used to go to Immaculate Conception School, grades 1 through 8. My deaf sister at the time was living with me and my mom. She used to go to the school, St. Francis, Brooklyn. So the charter bus would come and pick her up at 8 o'clock in the morning. I wore a uniform and my sister wore plain clothes with her little hearing aids. As I put her on the charter bus to St. Francis School for the Deaf out in Brooklyn, as soon as the bus left, this teenager that was Black Hispanic had a purse, had a syringe in her purse. Came out with the syringe in the same place where this man grabbed my left breast and squeezed and left scratches on my breast. She grabbed my left arm and was about to inject me with this syringe that had liquid drugs in it. Across the street from there, she had eyed the man in the black vehicle. It was a white man and someone in the back seat of that black vehicle. I pulled back my left arm and I made a gesture to her. And she took a deep swallow. There was a knot in her throat. And she put the syringe back in her purse and walked away, and the car drove off. That day, they were going to drug me, kidnap me, and rape me. And God only knows what else they were going to do. Did I deserve this? No. It was basically a retaliation against my father, Mr. Carlos Barahona. I never understood why they did that. What was the reason? Why would someone be so hateful and nasty to target me at such a young age and take my innocence, especially as a 10-year-old? Why would someone be so cruel and inhumane and make me look like a fool and play around with me all these years? It is believed that the person that targeted me, because of my father, Mr. Carlos Barahona, that he had worked with the CIA or had some dealings with the government in third world countries. And whoever targeted my father and sought revenge after my father swore to get even with my father for whatever reasons, and I still don't know to this day, that he would target my mother, Edith Eugenia Miranda Barahona, and he would hurt me and my siblings for whatever my father did or did not do, Mr. Carlos Barahona. I think it was because my father was helping the government and certain people in third world countries, and the bad people, a handful, didn't like this. So they swore revenge against him towards my mom and my siblings, and one of them was me. Now, there's been some suspicions. There's been reports made on my behalf regarding this man that day was going to kidnap me due to human trafficking. Because people that do this, it's known as human trafficking, where they solicitate prostitution, they kidnap minors, teenagers, rape them, and sell them in black markets, drug them, and do horrible things to them. And we bind that through the blood of Jesus. Whoever swore revenge against my father, I was just a child. I was just a kid. I didn't deserve to go through that. No human being deserves to go through that, especially children. I was known to be a crazy person, far-fetched, all in the mind, and I'm none of the above. Then, after I've been through all of that, I had the nerve to graduate high school, graduate college, and then join NYPD and become a police officer, 10, 12 years uniform and undercover. There's a lot more. I've done some investigations. I've witnessed some things. Witnessed to murders, plotting against certain FBI agents and paramilitary and military officers and their families, and I've reported this all to the police, the government. I've done the right thing. Not only as a NYPD police officer, uniform and undercover, but also as a mom, a grandmother, and also as a survivor of rape, as a child, a teenager, and an older woman. I'm not some crazy nut, some crazy woman seeking attention, all in the mind. I'm a person, a human being, that advocates against sexual violence. Because sexual violence is not an act of sex, it's an act of violence. There is a handful of people in the United States of America and other parts of the world that are so dishonest about their behaviors that they can't seek pleasures of sex without having to sabotage or having to use any type of sexual violence. That is inappropriate, especially with children, teenagers, and young adults and older people. It's a disgrace that as human beings, we can act so barbaric and savage. We have forgotten chivalry. We have forgotten compassion and respect of boundaries, where we have lost compassion respecting children that are vulnerable and protecting their innocence, whether white, black, red, brown, or yellow. I lost my innocence. It was taken from me as young as 10 years old and even younger, of no fault of my own. When I see innocent children, whether white, black, red, brown, and yellow, they are our future. It is the innocence of our children around the world and around the country that makes this a better world to live in. It is barbaric and savage human beings, a handful, that don't understand the respect of human life, period. And shame on any corrupted officers. Shame on corrupted judicial systems. Shame on corrupted churches. Shame on corrupted civilians, a handful, that don't understand that. That don't understand the respect of the elderly. That don't understand the respect of children, teenagers, human life, period. That something was stolen from me as a child. My innocence. So when I became a police officer, uniform and undercover, I stood for something. I advocated against sexual violence, protecting the innocent, protecting the children, women, the elderly, and men that are against sexual violence, not only in the United States of America, but around the world. That we have no right to go around raping and savagely raping teenagers and children and the elderly simply because we feel they are too vulnerable and cannot protect themselves. It is a disgrace. Where is our compassion? Where is our rationality and stability? We're so quick to analyze in the medical field and even in the world and label people like us and so many of us crazy and insane. And yet we turn the other cheek and turn the other way. Things like sexual violence. We don't see it for what it really is. We don't see domestic violence for what it really is and what it does. We don't see adulteries and rapes and sexual molestations and incest for what it really is and what it does. We're so quick to label and criticize people like me and so many people like me, but rather seeing the truth for what it really is. Embarrassing women like me and so many of us. Embarrassing women of color like me and so many of us. Whether white, black, red, brown, or yellow, or mixture. We don't stand up for some things. We stand for anything. We don't have a voice when we need to have a voice. We overlook certain things. We let certain things slide. But we're quick to judge the things that we know should not be judged and the things that we should defend. My father, Mr. Carlos Barahona, may have been a CIA agent. And he may have worked with the government. Not only in the United States of America, but in third world countries. And there are some high classified information. And that is some of the reasons why I've been through some of the stuff that has been drama throughout my life. As a child, a teenager, a young woman, and an older woman. Not because I'm crazy. Not because I'm far-fetched. Not because I'm insane. But because I've always tried and did the right thing. Not only with my family, acquaintances, neighborhoods, communities, societies, a country, and the globe. I've advocated against sexual violence for years. Being a survivor of rape myself as a kid. Whoever really retaliated against my father and swore to get revenge against my father and my mother and his children, and I'm one of his children, I hope you know the damage that you did. I hope you know that if you are any person in and out of authority and a handful of corruption, that you may think you've gotten away with certain things. And how many other victims and survivors have been like me, not only in the United States, but around the world? Do you understand that no matter whether you got caught or not, that one day you will have to serve justice for that? That nothing in this world, not only in the United States of America, but around the world, nothing in this world is left unsaid and undone. That sooner or later, we serve a God of justice. And you may have tried to rape me. And you may have tried to use human trafficking. But the God that we serve is a powerful God. And there's so many survivors like me around the world. You may have gotten away with certain things. But trust and believe, you won't get away with it. Because if man don't get you, God will. And God's vengeance is more powerful than man. It was unfair and not right what I had to go through. It was disgraceful. But trust and believe, you won't get away with it. And so many people like me around the world. Because we serve a God of truth, a God of justice. And sooner or later, truth has a way of finding itself. Whatever my father did or did not do had nothing to do with me. And if you went out of your way to hurt me, you may have hurt me, but I survived it. And I survived it so the whole world will know that I have a purpose in and out of God. You may have stolen my innocence, but you didn't steal my bravery. You didn't steal my courage. And you didn't steal the fight that I have against sexual violence for children, teenagers, men and women around the world, in and out of the United States of America, that I too have a voice. I too have healing. You may have stolen my innocence, but you didn't steal my strength. You may have targeted and retaliated against me because of my dad, but you didn't steal my power.